Here we have an overview of these building standards that we included in the report and in the comparison that we developed. Some are passive building standards, including the 2015 PHIUS Plus, 2018 PHIUS Plus Core, 2021 PHIUS Plus Core, 2021 PHIUS Core Prescriptive, PHI Low Energy Building, PHI Passive House. And then we have other building standards that are used across the country, including the 2018 International Energy Conservation Code, IECC, the 2021 IECC. We included a draft of the IECC for 2024, California Title 24, EnergyStar, DOE Zero Energy Ready version 2, as well as Pretty Good House. In setting up these standards and going into the requirements in the next video, something I want to cover is the fact that some metrics are absolute in that they come from physics. For example, your dew point. If you have a certain temperature and a certain relative humidity and you hit the dew point, you're going to have condensation. This is an absolute metric. A somewhat absolute metric is, for example, derived by statistics. And that is, for example, when we talk about thermal comfort. That is, it's not absolute because not everyone is going to be comfortable in certain conditions of temperature and relative humidity. But most people may be comfortable in certain conditions, and that is based on statistical studies carried back in the day, based on the PMV, predicted mean vote, and PPD, percentage of people dissatisfied, predicted percentage of dissatisfied. These are the basis of ASHRAE standard 55 and ISO standard 7730. Now, in reality, a lot of the requirements that we're going to see for these standards are arbitrary, meaning that if you want to define a standard, you may need to, there may be no absolute or statistical metrics to rely on. So you need to, if you are defining those standards, you may need to draw a line in the sand and say this passes and this does not pass. So arbitrary metrics are actually most of the metrics that we're going to see, most of the requirements we're going to see next. They include, for example, prescriptive R values. For example, in Climate Zone 5, in the 2018 code, it prescribes to have an R20 in your walls. Why not R18 or R22? So that is arbitrary. When we talk about heat pumps, we'll see that EnergyStar or Zero Energy Ready by the DOE set minimum requirements for the heating performance and cooling performance of heat pumps. For example, for HSPF, the heating seasonal performance factor of a heat pump, they say, oh, it has to be minimum 9.5. Cool. Why not 10? Why not 8.2? So that is arbitrary. The ERI targets for the DOE and EnergyStar are arbitrary, as well as the heating and cooling demand maximums set by PHI as well as PHIUS. As well as for other metrics, when you're measuring the maximum allowed air leakage, it's arbitrary to define whether that is related to the volume of the building, so the volume related maximum air leakage, ACH 50, or surface related. That decision is also arbitrary. So there is quite a bit of arbitrary decisions made in building up these standards. Now, we are starting with the International Energy Conservation Code, IECC. These are the covers. We looked at the 2018 as well as the 2021. And we also used a draft, an official draft of the 2024 IECC to see how that could shed a light on the direction that the building code is going. It's one of the most common energy codes used in the US. It's updated every 3 years. Local jurisdictions decide if and when to adopt them. For a lot of jurisdictions in Colorado, 2021 is the future, although this recording is being recorded in 2023. And home rule allows significant changes being made once the code is adopted. This map that is may not be terribly current shows the state of Colorado and the state of adoption of different energy codes. Some are, different counties or different municipalities decide to adopt a different energy code, so that the adoption is not even across the country, especially if you have home rule states. California Title 24 defines the code minimum energy efficiency for all projects in California. So we use that for all California-based projects. EnergyStar is a voluntary program run by the Environmental Protection Agency. The goal is to reduce energy usage and environmental impact. For this study, we use version 3.2, the national requirements, although some states have their own applications. This map shows that version 3.2 is not yet mandated anywhere in the country, but we use that just because it is the next step in EnergyStar coming up. The Zero Energy Ready Home program by the Department of Energy is a voluntary program to achieve high performance in buildings to be so efficient that renewable energy system could offset most or all of the home annual energy usage. That statement is, we're going to see the result about that statement. We use version 2 for this study. Pretty Good House is a framework of guidelines set by a group of architects and builders on the East Coast. It has gained significant popularity with builders and architects. So we included that in the program to see how that compares. One critique in us doing that is it's not an actual program. There's not an actual standard. But people look at them highly. So we wanted to see how that compares to Passive House, for example, or to the code minimum compliance. And we're going to see in the next video how we define the requirements of Pretty Good House. There's no actual program. You can download your own certificate if you want. So there's no third-party accreditation for this. The Passive House Institute US, PHIUS, I heard it being said PHIUS and other, I think the correct pronunciation is PHIUS. It's a voluntary program run in the US and Japan. I don't think it's run anywhere else, but I may be mistaken. And it defines goals for comfort, indoor quality, energy efficiency by prioritizing the quality of the building envelope. That is the passive approach. We considered the 2015 mostly for reference only in this study. We really looked at the 2018 and the 2021 core and prescriptive for the standard. So when we talk about requirements, that is, we're going to mostly focus on these last three. Then the International Passive House Institute, PHI, I heard someone call it PHI, it's PHI. It's a voluntary program run internationally by the International Passive House Institute, PHI. It defines goals for comfort, indoor quality, energy efficiency, by prioritizing the building envelope. Again, the passive house approach similar to the PHIUS I just described. For PHI, we looked at both the full passive house as well as the low energy building standards. We're going to see how they compare to code, PHIUS, Pretty Good House, and so forth.